So big news came out of Major League Soccer last weekend with the calendar change and big changes to the television deal. So to kind of dig into the business side of these big announcements, we've got Simon Evans returning to the show. Thank you for joining us once again. Simon Evans from the soccer business. Welcome aboard, sir.
Good to see you, Robert. Hi, Luke.
Hello, boss. How are you?
Good, thanks.
All right, so it was kind of lost in the mix because everyone got caught up with the MLS calendar change, but on the same day, it was kind of a news dump. Apple TV deal, paywall's gone, the deal is shortened. Can you break us down what actually was changed, and then we'll get to what does that signal?
Yeah, so, I mean, the change fundamentally is the MLS Season Pass, the subscription product that was available through Apple TV, no longer is going to exist. That's gone. So basically, if you subscribe to Apple TV, you get everything that's on Apple TV, and that includes everything from MLS. So it's a much better deal for the consumer. I don't think there's anything doubt about that. We could discuss, what it means for MLS as a business, but for the consumer, instead of paying $12.99 a month for MLS, you're now paying $12.99 for MLS, for Formula One, for all the comedy shows, for the movies, for everything else is on Apple TV. And it's an even better deal, to be honest, at the risk of sounding like a sales executive for Apple and MLS. It's an even better deal when you look at the bundle they announced recently with Peacock. So for an extra $2 for $14.99, you get everything that's on Apple TV, including your MLS and your F1, plus everything that's on Peacock, or pretty much everything that's on Peacock. So you would get Premier League and MLS from a soccer perspective, and USL Super League, where you might see Trinity Rodman play. Who knows?
What's your believability rating before we go further? What's your believability rating on the Rodman to Super League?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I remember years ago when the attempt to recreate the NASL happened as a split off from the USL. And I remember talking to one of the executives who was involved in that, who said, we're going to have no salary cap, so we can take on MLS. We can offer Landon Donovan as much as we want to offer him. Like, there's no rule stopping us. And I was like, okay, let's see you do that then. And of course, it never happened, and it was always in theory. Well, this is an early sign, perhaps. I mean, it's interesting. It's the DC team, which has been reported to have made this bid, who are owned by DC United, right? So
I know they share facilities. I'm not sure about the ownership group, but in the articles that I've read, they did talk about crossover as far as facility sharing.
Right. Okay. I need to check on that, but it's an interesting one. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised if she was to leave NWSL for the Super League. I'd be much less surprised if she ended up going to Europe.
Yeah, it seems almost like a counter. Yeah, it seems just like a third party to maybe sweeten the deal here domestically. But back to the Apple TV deal. So you're saying that for the consumer, this might be a better deal, more for less?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. For the consumer, it is. Now, you still have to sign up to an Apple platform, just as if you want to watch Champions League or Serie A, you've got to sign up to Paramount Plus. If you want to watch the Premier League, you've got to sign up to Peacock. They've now put themselves in a normal subscription streaming position, right? That's all it is. It's no more and no less than that. They're in a normal position. It wasn't a very normal position to be on a platform where you were paying just for that league's content, and nothing else.
Simon, two questions from my end, if I may. Number one, in your opinion, are there any metrics by which we can judge the Apple TV deal on that paint it in a positive way, that don't point it to being the sort of abject, miserable failure that the soccer industry in the States kind of has it pegged out at? Is there anything that this thing did that went well? Question number two, real quick, is this weekend, will you be watching MLS on Apple TV, or will you be watching the next episode of Pluribus on Apple TV?
I'll be watching MLS on Apple TV, definitely. And I'll be trying to watch USL on Paramount or ESPN as well. I can't. Is it which the final is? I'm not sure.
Paramount, mate. Yeah.
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 But to go back to the question about the metrics, it's a really difficult area, right? Because Apple, they are notoriously secretive about all data connected with all their products and services. So it's very hard to get any information out of them, which I think was a bit of a frustration to MLS at times, because the way that leagues work is that, and you'll see this, Robert, I'm sure you get the same emails that I do, that the broadcasters will let you know when they've had a great weekend. Yeah. And record breaker. There's always a new record that they've calculated it in a certain way. It's the most people to have watched on a Sunday afternoon before 3 p.m. in autumn with no, there's whatever category they put it at, they can do that, and the PR companies will push that out. And this last week or so, we've just been fed the NWSL's record ratings across various platforms and so on, which I'm sure is true. But the fact that PR companies do that, MLS wasn't able to do that because Apple wasn't giving them the numbers, or if it was sharing the numbers, it was on a basis that this is not public information. So very difficult. At the All-Star game in Austin, Don Garber did a press conference and gave us some numbers which indicated, and again, the calculation of those viewers is different from how Nielsen does it and how we're used to seeing those numbers from TV. But the number they gave was like 1.8 million people over a weekend. So you've got 17 games. You break that down. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean, 1 million were watching Inter Miami play in a game and maybe 20,000 were watching another game? We don't get any of that information. I think the fact that Apple is doing this deal at this stage where they are saying, okay, we'll step back from that subscription money, that separate subscription money. We're going to put you up there with F1 and with our other prime properties as an attraction to bring people in to buy our Apple TV product, suggests to me that it wasn't quite as bad as people were making out, right? Because if it was an absolute disaster, why don't Apple just walk away from it? I'm sure they could find a way, whether they have to pay penalties for cutting it short early. Now, the deal has been cut short a bit. And basically, MLS will be able to go to market in 27, 28, around that period, looking for a possible another partner if they wanted to move on from Apple. So there has been a reduction in that commitment from Apple in that sense. But I think we're kind of reading the vibes on it, where I think it's not been as bad as some of the critics have made out and not been as good as they'd hoped.
Yeah, that's often where the truth is somewhere in between the hyperbole, right? But it can't be. I wonder if, I guess the question is this just a reshaping of a business model because it was an experimental business model? Or does this mean that, like, hey, we're going to try to get out of this as quick as we can? And they negotiated between MLS and Apple. They negotiated like, all right, we'll just, cut it short and rearrange it.
Well, they're cutting it short, but they're not cutting it short now or next season. There's a few years left to run on it. And if they really wanted out of it, they could have cut it shorter, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure Apple has the power in negotiations to end this thing whenever they wanted to, pretty much, yeah, with some compensation paid or whatever. So I think I think when I saw the news that Formula One had signed a deal with Apple and that there wasn't going to be a Formula One season pass, that it was just going to be available, I was like, how does this possibly work next season? That Apple can turn around and go, we want an extra $12.99 for MLS, but you can have Formula One for free. It seemed, this is, from that point of view, it was no surprise to me that this happened. And the MLS, I've got to give them a bit of credit here, because when I saw it, I thought there's always a catch with these things. There's always something that's like not good for the consumer, right? And the fact that MLS Season Pass was included with your season ticket as an MLS fan effectively made it a free gift to every season ticket holder in America, as well as all the bonuses they did with T-Mobile and all the rest of it. But the fans of the team, you bought your season ticket for your MLS club last season, and you got access to all the games, home games in your stadium, plus every other game in MLS on TV, right? Nice deal. And I thought, well, if they're getting rid of the season ticket, the season pass, they're probably getting rid of that offer as well. But they haven't. They're offering MLS season ticket holders free Apple TV. So,
Remarkable. Remarkable. And that's where the optics come from. The optics come from, well, we're gonna put this beautiful, wonderful, amazing sport that we're trying to push the agenda of in this country behind this big fat paywall. Oh, wait, 6 months later, Simon, I ended up having 3 T-Mobile season passes, MLS season pass last year. I got one free as a season ticket holder of the Columbus Crew. I got one, no, 4. Oh my God. 2 as T-Mobile customers. My wife and I, we share a line, we share an account, so we had 2 season passes that way. And then there was somewhere else as well that were like that just gave me a season pass. So the optics of that, Simon. One day we're trying to put this valuable IP behind the paywall, and then a few weeks later we're just sort of dishing out season passes like candy. The optics are this was a gross miscalculation by either Apple or MLS or both up front, and they had to pivot and about face quite quickly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the amount of people, anecdotally, I mean, that's pretty extreme having 4 of them, I have to say, Luke. But a good friend of mine who likes different sports and likes soccer, but isn't, and he's an older guy and he's not particularly into MLS. And he said to me, "Is it possible to watch these messy games? Like, where can I watch them?" I'm like, "Apple TV." He's like, I'm not getting another subscription. I said, "You've probably got a subscription somewhere." Went into his T-Mobile app, and I was like, "There you go. You've got 12 months free." Oh, nice one. I wonder how many thousands of people across America had free access to this and didn't know about it, or that the Sunday night games have been free on various platforms as well. You didn't need to have season pass. I think if you were on Comcast or DirecTV, you got the Sunday night game free as well. So it's been a weird mix of like very generous offers, but people not always knowing about them either. And so this impression was left that it was like this very expensive product, even though it seemed to be free for half the country.
That's a good point. And it's interesting how you framed it also that Formula One is now in the Apple TV world. And do you think that Major League Soccer being packaged next to F1 will further elevate it? Or do you think that, people just scan through it?
I think it's more a case of it allows Apple to build out a sports offering. Yeah. So if you go to all the different rival streamers that Apple have, they all have a sports offering now as part of their package. Yeah. So, HBO is not famous for sports, but if you sign up to HBO Max now, you get US national team games, you get various other sports products. Peacock is obviously full of it. The Disney deals are packaged together with ESPN and everything. So everybody's got some sports, and Apple, that was missing for them really. And just having a separate product for MLS, that was, 2 years ago, that was all they had for sport. That was literally all they had. Now they've got a little bit of Major League Baseball. They've got Formula One. They've got MLS. Wouldn't surprise me if they add a couple more things. So, just to respond to that comment that's on screen there, people need to sit down and specifically navigate with the intent to watch MLS. That's true for everything these days, though. I mean, it really is. Talk to NBA fans or NFL fans, especially NBA fans. It's like, you have to go online and Google to find out who's showing the game. It's not the days when we just switched on ESPN and we knew the sport was going to be there. Have long since gone.
Okay, Boomer.
No, but
you are absolutely 1,000%. You are 1,000% correct. It is an intricate process that takes 30 to 60 seconds sometimes of looking, searching, pushing the flipping thing on the clicker to try to get the product that I'm looking for. And it's getting worse, not better. It's so convoluted.
I mean, I just looked this morning at the new TV deals in Europe for the Champions League, and the Champions League package for the UK is going to be, and the UEFA package, I should say, Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. It's on 4 different platforms. I mean, I can talk, and you go to these conferences like I do, and you listen to people in that space talk about strategies and so on. And it's like diversification of platforms, different revenue streams, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but are you not totally like running rings around your fans here? Because they're paying for 4 different packages. They're having to do that little bit of work, as you say, to find out where the game is. But above all, they're having to pay for the packages. I mean, do you really want to have Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime and Sky Sports and the BBC in the UK to watch European football? I mean, it's I think the whole industry, and this has been missing from the debate about MLS, Robert, I think, is that it's got to be seen in the context of an industry that is going all over the place on TV rights. I mean, imagine if that Champions League deal had been offered for American consumers for MLS. Hey, you can watch some MLS games on Amazon Prime, some on this, some on that. You need 4 different subscriptions. People would go crazy about it. But that's what's happening, and it's starting to happen. With American sports, it's already happened, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. The regional networks where you could watch any of the local pro teams, like those have gone away and come back, and they're on apps and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people here locally where I am, Michigan, don't follow the Pistons or the Red Wings half as much as they used to, because it's not like you said, it's not like pick up the remote and just pop it on. So yeah, you have to, there's a different layers. You have to be very intent. You have to have a lot of intent to find those out. You have to.
So the commenter was correct there, that you do need to have that intent to go out there and look for it. But that's just modern sports viewerdom now. That's what we have to do for everything.
Yeah, and Andy,
Rob, if I may, I think Simon and I can probably put a lid on this entire topic together in unison, using our respective husky British voices, by quite simply saying, "Game's gone."
Yeah, I guess we could fall into cliche if we wanted to, but Simon, really appreciate you popping on and kind of working on this topic. Trying to see, it's hard. It's kind of a difficult topic because the mystery of the data, and it's a new business model. It's hard to know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but you have at least spelled out that it seems, at least on the surface, that it's the consumer, the viewer, the fan is getting more.
Massive! I mean, you look at that bundle with Peacock together for $14.99. What you're getting across a range of sports, and if you added onto that a subscription for one of the biggies like ESPN or some other structure, you're probably 70% of the way to getting all the sport that you might want, which is, I think, the end goal for most consumers now, is how do I package together all these different services in an affordable way, in a way that I can bear to pay, that gives me the most amount of sport that you can get for your money. And I think this helps people to do that, and as part of that picture. But the whole situation is a mess. And added into it, Apple don't really care about making money so much in the short term. They're playing a different game. They want people in their ecosystem. They want people, buying into the whole Apple services across a range, and they'll package it together with all the other services. So you're judging it on a different criteria of what is success for Apple than what is success for Fox Sports on TV.
Yeah, similar vibes as Amazon, would you say, Simon? In that sense of we don't really care what the content is, as long as it's content, and we just want to try to get people into the Amazon sphere.
It keeps them there. Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon's slightly different in that most of us already have it because we don't want to pay the postage on all the deliveries from Amazon. So that's the way I think most of us have it for that reason. And the video's like a bonus that comes along with it. But certainly, yeah, it helps you. Sticky content, as they say, keeps you hanging around and stuck in their system. So complicated environment, but I think next season it's going to be interesting to see whether they start hitting us with some bigger numbers. Merritt Paulson from Portland Timbers was saying he expects the audience to double. So it'll be interesting to see whether Merritt Paulson comes back to us all halfway through next season and says, "Hey, we doubled the audience." We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Like this and the calendar change, until it's real, we won't really know if these things are going to turn out to be positives or negatives. But Simon, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing this with us and kind of breaking it down. So tell the audience where they can find your work and what your latest pieces are.
It's on soccerbusiness.com. There's a podcast there. There's a newsletter there, which will be out this afternoon, which last week we broke down a lot of the stuff on Apple. But every Friday afternoon, I send out a digest of all the soccer business news. And it's not just MLS, it's USL, NWSL. We go really down into the WPSL Pro and everything. Who's been appointed, who's doing what deals, what's going on, expansion clubs in USL, which small town community in America has just reached agreement for exploring the possibility of a multi-use retail and stadium facility this week. It's all there.
You're also dotting the map just like us here on Morning Kickaround. Simon Evans from Soccer Business, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. And if you'd like more of this sort of content, become a subscriber. We're well past the 5,000 subscriber mark. Hit that button, help us continue to grow. And shout out to our new member, Mr. Bob. Be like Bob and become an MK Ultra. Get priority commenting on live streams, bonus content, and access to the Morning Kickaround Discord server.